I've been president of Yonkers Local 628 for 10 years now, and the mayor's been in office for 9 years. So we've had to bang heads, unfortunately. This is a tough city. There's always tough times economically, and budgets and contracts and all these other issues. And no one's probably fought more than Mike Spano and Barry McGoey. However, like you said, the chips were down. We came together, and we saw a goal. We worked together on that goal. We achieved it, and now we're not going to stop here. Our goal is we're going to work together. I think myself and Mayor Spano and all the other unions are going to really start getting together and lobbying our state officials as well as our federal officials to provide additional funding. There's a lot of politics in Washington, and unfortunately you have these stimulus bills, and we have an election coming up. So the Democrats want to put their poison pills in there. The Republicans want to put their poison pills in there. But they all agree that municipalities and states need funding. Florida needs it, Texas needs it, as well as California and New York. It's just not a New York problem. So we challenge them to put aside all those poison pills and let's focus on one issue. Senator Gillibrand and Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump should put everything aside and how can we get some money to our municipalities to maintain the services that they need for public safety, for education, for public health, and not put all some of these, the political hot button. As soon as the Democrat bill hits the Senate, it's dead on arrival, and the Republican bill hits the House, it's dead on arrival. They all contain money for cities and states, right? So let's pull all the other stuff off and just focus on the important thing. Because many of these other issues, they've been fighting over, whatever it is, abortion rights for 40 years. We haven't been fighting over the health and well-being of our municipalities for 40 years. We need this funding. These are times we haven't seen since the Great Depression, and we need it, or there will be devastating cuts. We need them to step up and grow up and actually provide some funding for us.
Barry, before we started this interview, I said to myself, I am not going to talk about Trump. That's what I said to myself. But you brought him up.
I didn't bring him up.
You just said.
I brought up both of them.
You said Trump.
Well, I said Pelosi and I said Schumer too. I'm not going to get into. I don't want to make this partisan, Ben.
No.
That's not going to get.
I am not going to make this a partisan. What I'm trying to say is use your words to give an example that we should put parties aside and
absolutely
work for the best of the country and its citizens. But we have somebody that it looks like is benefiting Republican municipalities and states.
But Ben, we have to be so careful not to fall into this anti-Trump, anti-Schumer narrative. That's why we're in the problem right now, because both sides. And we can talk about Trump, and I can tell you a lot of negative things about Trump, but I can tell you just as many negative things about the opposition.
Right.
We have to focus on what's going to help the people in the city of Yonkers that watch Yonkers Voice. We need money. We don't need the partisan on the left or the partisan on the right. And I didn't mention Trump. I mentioned Trump, Schumer, Pelosi, all of them.
My point is, all these senators, congressmen, regardless of which political side they fall into, let's forget about that and let's talk and do things that will help the people of United States.
Absolutely. And that's why I said we should do a standalone bill.
Yes.
When the Republicans put things in there that they know the Democrats are not going to support, the bill is dead on arrival. When the Democrats put things in the bill that they know the Republicans are not going to support, it's dead on arrival. There's one thing we should all be supportive of, is providing public safety, public education, and public health. And I challenge either side to put a standalone bill together. Take all the political hot button issues out, whether it's a Second Amendment or abortion rights, because we can argue about that for the next 100 years. And we can talk about Trump is great and Trump is bad and Pelosi's great and Pelosi's bad. But the reality is, we'll just argue about it. We need them to take action. Mike Spano doesn't have 6 years to figure this out. He needs money in the next 6 weeks. Andrew Cuomo, Bill de Blasio, mayors and administrators and office holders all over this country are going to make or break our municipalities is whether or not we get this funding. And we can't clutter it. We can't make it partisan. Put a standalone bill together. And we should be demanding it. The United States citizens should demand that there's a standalone bill. And now dare the Republicans not to support it. Dare President Trump not to sign it. Dare Nancy Pelosi not to bring it to the House. There should be a standalone bill to help our municipalities that are in desperate need. We don't have, we want to wait till Election Day. We don't have until November 15th.
Yeah.
We need this money in October. Or there's going to be devastating cuts in our schools, in our public safety, all throughout municipalities
That's
throughout
my
this
point,
country.
Barry. That's my